To entertain ourselves, my brother and I sometimes would sneak next to the window to watch the dark sky and start counting the stars. But since it was too dangerous to stand behind the glass when bombings are happening, my mom would tell us that for every star you count, a pimple will form on your hand that will never go away. We moved away from the window and we stopped counting the stars. Till today, I never count the stars. 12 years ago, while I was living in Lebanon, I would never thought to advocate for dark skies. I was too busy searching for light. Today, because I live in a state of lighting abundance, I can talk about light pollution. And today, because I live in a safe country, I can talk about the beauty of a dark sky. And because I can find my way at night, I can express my desire to see the Milky Way. Hi, my name is Nadine Baalbaki. I am a holder of a master's degree in architecture, and I have been working as a lighting designer for 20 years now. I'm the founder of Light the Detail, a social media platform that aims to raise awareness about the impact that light has on our daily life. Light the Detail evolved to be a lighting design practice. 11 years ago, my husband and I took the decision to leave our country, Lebanon, our home and our family. The move was not driven by job opportunities, but actually to provide our family with a stable life, a life that we never had. Today's topic is about not all dark skies are happy skies. Growing up in war times through severe power cuts. I was born and raised in Lebanon, a country that has been suffering from severe power cuts since more than 40 years. Unlike other countries who suffer from light poverty, the power cuts are not attributed to the lack of infrastructure, but to different factors. To name a few: war, corruption, and the highly dysfunctional electrical sector. Dark skies were a constant scene in our childhood, just not a happy one. During war times, dark skies were associated with fear, with the heavy sounds of artillery, and with screams. To entertain ourselves, my brother and I sometimes would sneak next to the window to watch the dark sky and start counting the stars. But since it was too dangerous to stand behind the glass when bombings are happening, my mom would tell us that for every star you count, a pimple will form on your hand that will never go away. I honestly don't know if she invented it or it was a collective Lebanese mom myth, but it worked. We moved away from the window and we stopped counting the stars. Till today, I never count the stars. Dark skies brought a huge sense of insecurity. People started looking for alternative lighting sources to light their spaces. Candle and kerosene lamps were widely available. The warm light of the candle, though, never communicated relaxation, but totally the opposite. It communicated fear, anger, frustration, and deprivation. We then upgraded to install battery-connected batteries, to which we connected fluorescent tubes. Our night turned from warm to bluish flickering white. Small generators were then made available. Life was almost normal in our home, except that now, almost in each home, almost on each balcony, a noisy machine that produces toxic fumes, set aside a stack of fuel gallons, was vibrating. Who cares if it was a ticking bomb? We can study, shower, we can simply see. Large generators with monthly subscriptions compensated the government supply of electricity. The lord of the generators now ruled the game. The result is catastrophic on the environment and had significant impacts on people's health, possibly killing thousands each year in Lebanon, according to Greenpeace. Our skies were still dark, but we never looked. Those scenes were not taking place in a rural, disconnected town. Those scenes were actually happening in the heart of the capital, Beirut, in one of the main streets on the 9th floor of a very modern residential building. Light over time became a symbol of wealth, that families were able to afford electricity from private generators. The more your house was lit, the more amps you could afford. My first memory of a happy dark sky was at the age of 14 or 15. The long war was over then, and unsustainable solutions were made available to enjoy electricity whenever we wanted and whenever we needed. It was my first time that I look at the sky and with my cousin and literally enjoy the scene of the dark skies and the stars. It is now that I realize that enjoying the dark skies was really the main factor: lighting, abundance and availability, and safety and security. I will reapproach these two factors later on in my presentation. But first, let's talk about light poverty. As per Wikipedia, light poverty is defined to be the state or condition in which people or communities lack artificial or electrical light after sunset. This originates from many social and economic reasons, including inability to afford efficient lighting. As of 2019, 1.1 billion people do not have access to light. Light poverty, therefore, is associated with the traditional concept of poverty that relates to water, food, and shelter. Now, coming to the two factors that I was discussing in the beginning of my presentation, about the abundance and the opposite of it, the scarcity. How can the abundance and the scarcity impact our well-being? While researching the term abundance and its impact on human behavior, the post-scarcity term popped when defining abundance in economics. As per Wikipedia, abundance or post-scarcity is a theoretical economical situation in which most goods can be produced in great abundance with minimal human labor, so that they become available to all very cheaply or even freely. While the abundance of resources lowers the level of stress, scarcity can lead to a range of psychological and behavioral responses. The psychology of scarcity and how it impacts the behavior. The psychology of scarcity refers to how people's behavior and decision-making processes are affected by perceived lack of resources. And we're talking about any type of resources, whether it's money, time, other essential good, water, and in our case, in the case of the presentation, we're talking about light. So the psychology of scarcity and how it affects people's behavior. The first let's say behavior that we can commonly see in the scarcity environment is the tunnel vision. When people are preoccupied with their limited resources, they tend to focus only on immediate needs and desires. They may become less able to think about the long-term consequences of their actions in favor of short-term gains. Impulsiveness. Scarcity can also lead people to make impulsive decisions without a study of the aftermath of the decision and the solution provided. So this is basically the case of Lebanon and what we are facing with the excessive use of generators and the impact that is having on our physical health from the the toxic fumes that are produced in the air. Another layer would be the anxiety and the stress. Living with scarcity can be stressful and anxiety leading. The second point that I highlighted is the safety and the security concern. We all know that assuring safety and security in communities is a governmental responsibility, and it requires the collaboration between several government entities to implement effective strategy to fight crime in general. Although there is no clear evidence or studies that increased outdoor lighting deters crime, light remains a factor that increases the perception of safety.
Hi Nadine, this was a fantastic presentation. I am really amazed at a completely different perspective about this whole concept of dark skies, light pollution. Um, More so because I recently published a paper on the whole concept of dark skies and biodynamic lighting, where I was talking about life-centric lighting, where how light pollution is affecting different types of light forms. And I see another presentation where you see that whole concept about chicken farming, where there was more light given to chickens, so it was used as a business model, and this has completely altered my perspective. And the second thing was I just recently visited Lebanon, and beautiful country, beautiful people, and I would have never thought about dark skies from this perspective, especially with the whole concept of safety and security when there's a war-torn country. It's a lot to take in at this point of time, and I think dark sky advocates uh, need to really start looking at it from perspectives of different people, different areas, because darkness means so much more to so many people. So thank you for this perspective.
Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate and thank you for the feedback coming from you, because on a personal level, your opinion matters a lot. So thank you very much. No, the idea is that there are insecurities that come with darkness that only people that relate to the same sometimes life conditions can relate to. I'm not against dark skies, and I'm not. On the other hand, I really like and I enjoy, but this comes after a series of things procured. It's not only lighting designers' work. It's a whole chain of collaboration, as I said, between government entities, between lighting designers, between because darkness is beautiful when it is accompanied with safety and security, but when there is fear inside of it, it doesn't speak, it doesn't talk, and doesn't relate the same way. And when you lived in deprived society, we don't take lighting for granted. So it kind of brings, and the purpose of this presentation is to mix both what is personal experience, what is emotional, because we know lighting is about emotions, about evoking the emotions. And when we want to advocate for dark skies, we want to do it right with the right steps in mind. And this doing it the right step will have to include all perspectives from different backgrounds.
So very true. And I completely agree on this front because we tend to be so parochial in our approach and we look at it from a very blind-sided view. It's so important to look at a worldview, look at it from different directions, different dimensions of the whole concept. And this presentation really speaks to you in terms of what darkness is. And if you really are advocating for dark skies, you better advocate it in the right manner, looking at all the weighing all the options available.
Exactly, because today, even me as a lighting designer, 20 years, my perception of how I design the light changed a lot between when I was living in Lebanon and when I moved and lived in Dubai, because now the parameters have changed. The brief that comes from clients living in Lebanon is totally different from the design brief that comes from people that live in lighting abundance. And I could see that there is a discrepancy somehow. And the discrepancy does not only come from the education, but it comes also from certain fears, traumas, and so on. We can.
Thank you. Yeah, I completely agree, and that's why this whole platform was created as a mode of virtually connecting people, connecting activists, connecting lighting designers, connecting decision makers, as to come together and actually discuss these key aspects. Because it's not so. I'm glad people are discussing about these concepts and ideas, but I the whole intent of discussing it in the right manner, connecting all the peoples together, connecting all the dots, and coming up with some solutions is the whole idea of this platform. For those of you who know me, hello, good to see you again. If those of you who are seeing it for the first time, this is Amaldeep Dugar. I'm one of the founders of the Virtual Lighting Design Community platform. Sorry to interject here into this presentation, but this has been great. Nadine is a dear friend, and I'm glad to be a part of this whole discussion and presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nadine.
Thank you, Amardeep.
Thank you.